Let's talk about movies. So, you were never really here. When somebody describes a movie in an elevator pitch as a updated version of Taxi Driver, you would be forgiven if you rolled your eyes. However, when you give this very derivative and cheap sounding premise and leave it in the hands of a director like Lynne Ramsey, you get something that is not derivative and something that is really hard to explain. First of all, her direction in this movie is something that really manages to transcend all the visual solutions that are typical, all the cliches that you might expect from a film about revenge and a film about violence. Somehow I have a feeling that when she sits down to contemplate on how to solve a scene visually, how to film it, that she looks for the most engaging and unconventional way to portray something. I will try to explain this to you on an example. At one point, our hero or anti-hero, who is played by Joaquin Phoenix, walks into a brothel on a mission to rescue an underage prostitute. And what ensues is, on paper, a classical example of violent outburst and just advance through the obstacles in the shape of guards until he finally finds the girl. And the way Lynne Ramsey makes this scene fresh is by approaching it with a voyeuristic sensibility. The entire track of our protagonist through this brothel is seen through CCTV cameras. Lynne Ramsey solves the predictability and repetitiveness of violence by cutting away whenever the protagonist is about to strike and attack one of the guards. From another CCTV camera's angle, we see the violence ensuing. We see how it resolves. By choosing these several very precise and very stylistically accentuated solutions, she manages to make a scene that does not only work, it transcends its blueprint. So, in other words, she is a genius director. That's the conclusion I came to after watching this movie. Now, important thing I have to point out. I understand that this is universally critically acclaimed movie, and I can see why it got a standing ovation in Cannes. However, with that out of the way, I have to admit that it did not work that well with me. I was watching the movie and the entire time I thought, it's not you, it's me. So this was one of those rare examples where I understand that the way movie is filmed and the ideas it puts in front of you through these stylistic and visual solutions are very engaging and they are very masterful. For some reason that I cannot put into words, it was a bit of a placebo effect for me. I thought that maybe it was the matter of story, because as I've said it's a story about a violent person in a violent city, soul searching, etc., etc. It has some unconventional elements. However, in spite of that, I was just cold throughout the experience, and I admit it's me. It's me. I'm the problem here. Now, putting that aside, the performance of Joaquin Phoenix is, as expected, incredible. He is one of those actors that manages to convey deeply rooted emotional pain and turmoil without doing all that much. What I understood from this movie is that there is always underlying sense of emotional fragility. In a twisted and weird way, it's a very sensitive movie, even though themes and violence can sometimes be very extreme. It is a film about parenthood and family relations and the way children can be fragile, and even though they are fragile, they have tools to find inner strength. There is a captivating central relationship between the character Joaquin Phoenix plays and his mother, who is played by I think the actress, her name is Judith Roberts. She brings this warmth and at the same time ache to the story, and their relationship is something that is, on the one hand, very brimming with excruciating history and at the same time incredible tenderness. And for me, that was a central moment and central thing in the movie. This is how Lynne Ramsey is actually a brilliant director. In order to drive the point home that this relationship between Joaquin Phoenix and his mother is very unconventional and unlike anything you could presume it would be, she invokes Psycho, of course, which has a very demented central relationship between a parent and a child that's in the core of a movie, and the way she uses this is actually to convey the opposite, that you're coming into this parent-child relationship expecting this because it makes sense you would expect this psycho thing. I was pleasantly surprised, no, scratch that, I was impressed by how much the movie tells without wasting your time. It's a short movie. It's a very short movie. It's like hour and 20 minutes long, which is incredibly short when you consider how long commercially viable AAA produced movie is. But it only goes to show that the director had not only integrity but creative control over this project. Everything you see is there with a purpose. No time is wasted and the cuts are very rough, but in a way that thankfully looks deliberate, and it is deliberate because Lynne Ramsey is notorious throughout the movie world as a very, very what's the word I'm looking for? When somebody is obsessed with details. When everything is a perfectionist. Yeah. That's a good word for it, right? Perfectionist.
Thorough?
Perfectionist. Lynne Ramsey is a... This movie really proves to me that this rumor is true. Funnily enough, I disliked... We need to talk about Kevin because the suspension of disbelief that was required of me to believe that this child is a sociopath who manages to manipulate everyone but his mother didn't work for me. This movie worked a lot better. It still isn't a ultimate Lynne Ramsey experience for me. However, she is one of the most exciting and interesting filmmakers in Hollywood right now, and I am excited to see what she does next. The Final Judgment.
Whoa.
It's a... Subjectively, it's a 4-star movie. Objectively, there's no such thing, but if I'm going to be honest about how this movie manages to do everything right, it's a 5-star movie. So let's compromise and say 4 stars and a half, right? We had half stars before.
It's not that, it's just you're so generous with these scores, man.
Well, because, of course, I always return to the same thing, to the same topic when it comes to scoring, is that you have to take into consideration how much effort and how much creative energy went into making these movies, and a matter of bravery to make a movie and put it out for... There's that favorite phrase of yours, public scrutiny. You love that phrase. If you like what you see... No. That's if you like what you see, like and subscribe. No, that's a wrong sentence construction. If you enjoy, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching as always. Yeah, that's pretty much. And if you don't enjoy, if you disagree with anything, put it in the comments below and